Hey, welcome to Unraveling the Pattern in my best Dusty Wheel voice. This is not a live call-in talk show all about the Wheel of Time. It's just a live stream. And I'm Lauren from Unraveling the Pattern, and I'm so excited to be here, you guys. Season 3 is so close. It's like a month away, and we've got so much promotional stuff. And man, there's a lot to theorize and predict today. But you know what? I do this by myself too much. And so I thought I'd bring on some experts to help me with my theories and predictions for season 3. And so I just want to add my friends. Hello, Koala and Kevin. Welcome.
Hey.
How are you doing?
So excited.
Kevin, is that your excited face?
Yeah, this is the face that, for anyone who subscribes to TVAD, Valon After Dark, those are usually the faces that they see if they watch the live version of the podcast. It's usually just me doing weird face exercises the whole time. So
that's great. Koala, how you doing?
Oh, so excited. I just can barely sit still.
What time is it for you right now?
Oh, it's just past 4 a.m. So it's a very polite time of the day. I'm normally up by 4, so I only got up a little bit earlier.
I love your dedication. This is exciting. Hopefully Rob from Weekly Wheel News will be joining us soon, but you might have noticed that I said in the intro that They Might Be Dark Friends was joining us, but Rob's not here and Alyssa's not here. Rob will hopefully be here soon, but Alyssa is unfortunately not here. Actually, I have something I want to show you guys. If I can figure out how to do this. Got this. Okay, here we go. See this image? All right, I showed this to Koala earlier. I want to, maybe I can get a poll going in chat if I can figure out how to do that. What do you think that image is? Where do you think that comes from? And Koala, if you know, maybe don't say anything.
I just got an idea, so I'll just hold on to my idea for a moment.
I'm gonna say, well, how do you do a poll? You can't really do a poll. I can't do a poll. I'll just say, I'll just have people options, in chat guess. Yeah. What do you guys think? What do you think this image is? This is actually a clue as to where Alyssa is right now.
Yes, you've got to think outside the box.
Bird feeder? I like that.
Because there's a little horsey thing in the corner. So we have a weird little wooden horse motif there. But you've got some bird poop. I'm not going to swear because this is your family-friendly channel, Lauren. Of course, there's some bird poops above the awning. And it seems to be what looks like a Scooby-Doo dog with his tongue hanging out in the bottom right-hand corner frame of that window. Kind of licking the window a little bit.
Oh, I didn't even notice that. Very good. Yeah, right.
I don't know if anyone else can see that. So it looks like there's a dog licking a window on the
inside.
Wow. All right, I saw somebody say Zoe Robin's birthplace. That's a very good guess. That's a very good guess.
Is it like a hobbit
getting
hole?
very warm. That is getting very warm.
Mr. Rogers' Land of Make-Believe. Okay, NZ. I think people are getting it. You said hobbit hole. You're absolutely right, Kevin. This is where Alyssa is right now. I did not ask her permission to show these images, so I hope she's okay with me showing this. She is enjoying the beautiful weather in New Zealand. And she sent this image too, which I thought was so beautiful.
Aw.
And then I did take these. Sorry, Alyssa, you're on camera. No admittance.
Alyssa!
And yet, here they are.
They've been admitted. Wow.
And then here they are inside of one of the hobbit holes. Really cool. That's one of my goals is to someday be able to do that, right? To go visit the New Zealand.
It's such a far flight. Obviously, Koala, you understand that transatlantic flight is no joke. Anytime I think about those areas of the world and wanting to see it, I'm like, I think the longest flight I've done continuous was from here to the UK. And I think even that was like a 10, 12-hour flight or something like that, over the course of everything. And it was, I don't know if I was ready for it. I've done really long car drives living in the United States.
You're never ready for
3-4 hour car drive. No, it's crazy. It changes.
Crazy. Yeah, seriously. I love this.
Maybe I can meet you at Hobbiton. Lauren.
There we go.
Oh, I would love that. We could do some sort of get together. That's a great idea.
For me, yeah, and I've always wanted to go and see all of that set. I've never been to New Zealand, so.
Oh, that would be wonderful. I wonder, did Melissa get married in New Zealand or in Hobbiton? I need to know. That's kind of a big deal.
Need to know.
17.5 direct from New York. Oh, that's rough.
Oh, yeah. Hobbiton, WatCon. Yeah, that's what we need to do. Oh, she did get married in Hobbiton.
Wow.
Amazing. I mean, look, if we can't do like the Two Rivers for WatCon, then I think Hobbiton's probably the next best idea. I'm going to add Rob. It looks like Rob's here. Hey, Rob, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Hey, we hear you. You hear us. That's good. It was working. Welcome.
Thanks.
How you doing this morning? Is it still morning for you?
It is still morning. It's snowy outside.
Oh. Yeah, we got a little skiff of snow this morning, but it's already melted, thankfully.
Yeah. I mean,
all right.
It doesn't count if you can still see the lawn a little bit through it.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Okay, you guys, we have a lot to talk about today. I'm so excited. We are going to be theorizing everything we can about the Wheel of Time Season 3. Oops, I put the wrong banner up. This right here. TV show spoilers, Seasons 1 and 2. Also 3, but only speculation, right? Based on the promo materials we've got so far. And then we are going to talk some book spoilers, but let's try to keep it to book 5, Fires of Heaven. Anything beyond that, if there's something you want to say, I have a full spoilers banner, but let's just be cautious about spoilers beyond book 5. Sound good?
Sounds good.
Sounds
easy.
First things first, you guys, check this out. We know all of the episode titles. This comes from a report from WatchSeries.com. If you don't follow WatchSeries on social media and go to WatchSeries.com 15 times a day like I do, what's wrong with you? Like, it's the best website. They have so much inside information about production dates and all kinds of stuff. Well, anyway, they were able to find out the names of all of the episodes. Now, keep in mind, sometimes these episodes that they put on the website where they found them, the names do change. And let me scroll here. This is what we do know. We know that To Race the Shadow is definitely episode 1. And we know Golden Eyes is episode 7. Okay, so that means, which of these names do we think are the other episodes? Kevin, any ideas? What are your thoughts?
Oh, I think that, and this is just a pure stab in the dark right now, I think a great episode 2, especially with what we've seen from the stills, A Question of Crimson would be a great episode 2 title. Because we have Elijah arriving at the tower with more gaze. So it's double-edged, Red Aja, and then red is also one of the main colors of Andor. It'd be a good thematic choice where I'm pretty sure, I don't think that chapter has anything to do with either of them in the books, which is supportive of the theory because they tend to do that. They tend to try to, put a fresh spin on reusing a title, except in the case of Golden Eyes. I mean, that's pretty straightforward, but
yeah. Well, yeah, or He Who Comes with the Dawn. I'm going to assume I know
I
what's
think those
happening
ones
there.
are pretty straightforward, yeah.
I love that. That's also my first thought is A Question of Crimson is probably episode 2, but it's because one of the only confirmed images from episode 2 that we have is Elida in red.
Yeah.
Rob or Koala, do you have any disagreements with that? Do you think that A Question of Crimson comes later?
Didn't you say Golden Eyes is episode 2?
This is 7, episode 7.
Oh, these are 7.
Not, sorry. Oh, yeah, these are not in order.
Sorry. Yeah, no, it's all right.
I should have written.
My brain.
I need a way to write on the screen.
Mix that up.
A drag and drop.
So To Race the Shadow is episode 1.
Yes.
Golden Eyes is episode 7.
Yep. And Question of Crimson is now episode 2. And I believe The Road to the Spear. Well, if it works the way it should, it would be 3, and He Who Comes with the Dawn will be 4. Because your tent pole is going to be not going through Ruidan, even though that's like, oh my God, but it's that coming out of Ruidan and the Aiel being told who they are and him being pronounced, and understanding he's the Karakan.
That's very interesting because I assumed He Who Comes with the Dawn would come later. I guess I thought that Road to the Spear would be episode 4, because we know that Rafe Judkins wrote episode 4, and he said he wanted to do the Ruidan columns. And so my assumption is that Rafe Judkins wrote Road to the Spear, and I actually think they're going to do kind of what happens in the book.
See that little bit of inside information.
Yeah, I assume they're going to do what they do in the book, where he goes to Ruidan, but he doesn't actually, come with the Dawn officially until Al-Kardal near the very end, right?
Yeah, correct.
And so and we get the whole like Battle of the Two Rivers and everything between those 2 points.
All right.
So I personally kind of hope that it's like Rand goes into Ruidan, he experiences these crazy things, then an episode or 2 of Tanchico and the Two Rivers.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, that was
before we get
so
back.
the glass columns
such
will
a
be our
tease.
tentpole.
Oh man,
it would be a terrible tease. I don't know if any of you watched Severance. I'm not going to spoil Severance here, but Severance is
I have
currently the best show on TV. Like, it's just phenomenal. And the latest episode was so insane. I just watched it last night with my family.
I haven't been watching the new season yet.
Man.
Reasons.
But it was one of those episodes where it's like, this is how you're leaving it? Seriously? You're going to do this to me? So,
yeah,
that'd be like, that'd be a popular
I'm going to
book
wait
series
for the whole season and then binge it.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
So, Rob, what do you think?
I was going to spoiler, so let's go.
Oh, yeah, okay. Don't spoil.
No,
so,
I was
Rob,
helping myself. I almost said something else. Yeah.
Oh. All right, Rob, what are you thinking? What do you think about the episode titles?
Let's sort out the 2 that I've just said that Lauren disagrees with. What do you reckon, Rob? Set us, get us on the same page.
I'm trying to kind of sort out like, let's see. So we know that number 1 is To Raise the Shadow, right? And we know that number 7 is Golden Eyes. And that's all we know. Is that correct?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I think that number 2 is going to be The Shadow in the Night.
Ooh, okay. I'm going to start a poll.
That
Which
just
is
sounds
episode
like
2?
a second episode title to me,
I like that idea. Yeah, I mean, what else could it be? Let's see. Who wrote that one? Do we know? Oh, no, we don't. But we know who wrote the different episodes. We just don't know. Yeah. What do you think would happen in The Shadow in the Night?
I think that might have something to do with the chasing after Leonrin and the Black Aja. And possibly like an accepted test, because we know Egwene. We're probably going to see Egwene's, but probably not see Elaine's, I'm thinking. And some dark stuff happens in that one. Like, we got the screenshot of the 3 girls on the horses, right? And we've speculated that they're looking on at Rand, and so maybe this is like from her test where they're having to gentle him.
Ooh, yeah, that's what I was hoping for too.
And so I think episode 2 we're gonna see some like darker stuff.
Awesome. Good thoughts. Okay, so I want you guys to keep these. We're going to return back to this. I did a poll in chat. I hope it's working. Most people think A Question of Crimson, but I only gave them 3 options of the 8 episode titles. So, yeah, we're going to keep going. But I think what we need to do is let's break down some of these images. So I've got this built. This is from Tier Maker. And I've taken every single shot that we have so far from the teasers that we've received, even the season 3 wrap video, even though these shots probably aren't that important, and all the promotional stills. Yeah. So something I want to mention up front, I'm neurotic about this, as you all know. I think about this too much. And I do these grids.
Aren't we all?
Yeah, well, it's true. But I do these grids on purpose because it helps me align in my brain how I think things will work out. This is why I do the grids. And it's kind of become almost like a staple of my channel, but I do it for my own visual.
Too, when they go,
yeah, it's just something I need for myself. And so it helps me place things. And so I've got this tier list here, and we know episode 1 is To Race the Shadow. We know episode 7 is Golden Eyes. We don't know the other titles. Maybe we can kind of theorize and fill these in as we go. Also, I've taken the 10 promotional stills that we got about 3 weeks ago, and I've put them into the episodes that we are pretty sure they're in. I like to say confirmed, but we don't know 100% that these are confirmed. But the images did have in the title the supposed episode number, right, Kevin?
I would love it. I was one of the people that did also clock that as well, but I would love it so much if we found out after the season that they put those in there as decoys. That would be so funny to me. I know that's not going to be the world we live in because it's too funny, but I hope that if Amazon, if one of your little guys are watching us, or little girls, or little thems, just take that idea and run with it, because I would love to see.
I completely agree. I actually think if they haven't done that, I'd be surprised somewhere, because the latest 4 images of Tanchico notably have the episode number removed. And so it feels like they're aware that we catch on to things like that. So they could absolutely mess with us. But so this could already be wrong, but we're going to go on the assumption that it's correct. And I do think some of these are very likely for reasons we'll get into. The other thing is, we did this last time before season 2 came out, and I had guests on, and I rewatched that stream and realized that I just steamrolled over everybody. I was like, no, this is how it's going to be. I've thought this through, and I don't want to do that today, but I'm going to do it. I'm sorry. The thing is, I do have a lot of this insider information, or not insider information, but just like all this stuff in my head.
Yeah.
But that being said, please argue with me, and please don't take everything I say as true. I mean, I'm probably wrong. It's just that in my head, it makes sense. Then. Yeah.
How right were you last time?
I was just going to say the same thing. How accurate were you? Yeah.
That's a good question. I need to go back and look through it. And people have said you should make a video like returning to this and watching it and determining how right you were.
Fun.
That would be a fun live stream.
Yeah,
post-mortem live stream. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
And this year I don't have time to actually make a video with all my theories. That's why I'm doing this live stream. So, and the reason for that is because I have a very exciting secret project coming out in the next few weeks, and I can't tell anyone exactly what it is, but it's really exciting, and I'm really excited about it. And I hope that everyone who's watching will watch that video when it comes out. It's something I've been working on anyway, it's exciting. Okay. So these images, I don't know if this is the correct order, but this is the order I think episode 1 will go in. Let me share one other slide really quick. Well, a couple. So Rafe said this about the opening of episode 1.
Mm-hmm.
The first 15 minutes of season 3 will be just a bunch of women in their 40s and 50s shredding each other, right? So we know the cold open scene is going to include this. He also said this, and I pulled this from Watt Series. He said, we would know right up top season 3 what Liandrin's been up to. Okay, so we don't know exactly what she was doing after episode 7 of season 2, but she was up to something. And I'm pretty sure that that's going to be related to this first image here, which is, I hope you guys can see this okay. It's the image of Swan attacking somebody. Do you guys agree with that, at least, that's probably the cold open?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Makes sense,
no reason
right?
not to think that.
Yeah. And then also I should mention the entire cold open. Koala disappeared. Hope she comes back soon. The entire cold open was, well, I don't know about the entire thing. Part of the cold open was shown at CCXP in Brazil. And they talk about how Swan basically brings Liandrin into the hall of the tower, where she is essentially judged. They bring in a witness, and that witness is Nynaeve. and then they basically accuse her of being of the Black Aja, and then an attack happens where Siuan tries to attack her. Liandrin escapes, and then we cut to a scene of Moiraine in the streets of Tar Valon, looking up at the White Tower, seeing an explosion. Okay, so I'm going to scroll down here and grab some of these images that I believe are part of that whole sequence. So the first one is, where is it? This one of Nynaeve.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't go in episode 6. It goes up here. I believe it goes right there. Actually, it probably goes before this, right? Before she uses the one power. Yeah. And then the other image is this one of Moiraine, which I think happens somewhere around here. What do you guys think? Do you think this is probably true? By the way, I have analyzed the background here. This is definitely her in the Hall of the Tower. There's a scene in season 1 where she walks through these same doors when she reunites with Egwene. So cool.
No, yep, no objections. I think that I also think it's great, like, to see it like this, where I know we both had talked about the aspect ratio side of it, but like even seeing it like this makes it so much more like apparent that the extra stills come from potentially the full trailer, which hopefully will come soon.
Oh, I really hope you're right about that. Yeah, I would love to see this scene in action.
Yeah,
with all the weaves.
It makes sense too with the Elaine scene, because if you notice, her hand is in motion. Like, why would you have a hand in motion for a promotional still, unless you're taking it as a screen grab?
Oh, this one, yeah, you're right. Yeah. Her hand's kind of blurry. You're right.
Yeah,
I completely agree. And some of them are cropped differently, as you can see. But
yep,
I think
it says crop in it.
Yeah, and it says crop in the name. Another thing, this shot right here, I wasn't 100% convinced this was the shot that was mentioned in the description of the cold open. But the person who was there, O Povo de Dragão from Brazil, they confirmed to me in my YouTube comments that this is the shot that was in the cold open scene. It's raining in this shot. And the reason I was confused is because there are some shots later. Oh, I got to let Koala back in. Hey, Koala, you're back. Sorry.
My connection just went.
Oh, welcome back. I'm glad you're okay.
Thank you.
We were just talking about how we're pretty sure these images from the trailer will happen in this order. Nynaeve testifies.
Yeah.
Then you have Siuan attacking Liandrin. Then you have an explosion that Moiraine looks up at.
Yeah.
The question that I have is, do we think these other shots of the right down here, where are they?
Alana fighting? Is that what you're looking for?
Oh, here we go. So we've got Liandrin fighting Alana here, and then we've got these 3 shots, and then we've got this shot of Liandrin. Can you guys see my mouse? I don't know if you can see my mouse as I point at things.
Yep.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Now it's there.
Yeah.
So this shot right here of Liandrin fighting, and then do we think these are part of the same sequence? I mean, I assume they are, especially because we're told that Liandrin gets burned by Siuan.
That's what really clinched it for me, was the report from those who saw it on the Thunder stage and the describing Liandrin getting burnt. And when you see her in the streets with Alana, she's obviously burnt. So I think that the fight goes out into the streets because that allows us to know that Liandrin and the others actually have left Tar Valon.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
I think so too. It's just not raining at those scenes at that point. So I wonder, is that still part of the cold open, or does the fight continue throughout the episode a bit, you know?
It could. That's true. It could.
Rob or Kevin, any disagreements with that, or should I drop those images of the attack here into episode 1? What do you think?
Yeah, I feel like if they are in there, I almost wonder if they're not part of that extended sequence, but like there's like a break in the action between them. Like there might be like a bit of a section where there's like the you have the people reaction, because like you were saying with the rain itself, like the streets aren't wet. There might have only been rain in that specific section, so maybe we see some reactions to the scenes, and then later on in the episode or midway through, we see an actual interaction where Liandrin's escaped from the tower itself, and Alana corners her, something like that, or she tries to sneak out and she's like trying to make a clean escape. I don't know, because it seems interesting that we have the fight break out in the Hall of the Tower, but then it continues in the streets of Tar Valon, but only with Alana. Like nobody else is there with her besides her warders, obviously.
Well, that we've seen.
In the shots.
And maybe she's the only one who runs after.
Correct. Yeah. Maybe she's the only one that tails him. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we do know that Alana is right next to Swan here.
Yes. Yeah.
This is Alana here. Somebody asked in the chat. I'm sorry. I can't find the comment now, but they said, "Why is Nynaeve?" Here we go.
Yes.
Why is Nynaeve testifying wearing novice clothes? I think this is still a flashback. I think this is her accepted dress. We don't see the cuffs.
Yeah,
but the neckline is different. Dress. You're right. I am a cutie pie.
We think the neckline is different.
Yeah.
For the accepted dress and the novice dress, the neckline I think is different. I think they've commented above Melissa there.
Oh, I'll have to go and check and see if this is matching one or the other. I feel like this is the accepted dress, but yeah, who knows? So this brings up kind of an interesting question. Is Egwene also in the White Tower at the start of the episode? Because we're told this image right here is also episode 1. And we're all pretty much convinced that, I think, right, that this image is from her accepted test. How else would Egwene somehow be the Amerlin seat, if not, in her accepted test?
Yeah.
But what do you think? Do you think she's already at the tower with Nynaeve, or is she at the inn with the boys and possibly these 2 girls? What do we think?
I think as a novice, she would have to be in the tower. I mean, I know we can see Elaine there at the inn with Aviendha.
That's what's so tricky to me. Is
so much that doesn't make sense yet. It's just delicious.
Right? Rob, what do you think?
I sent you a link as well of the novice dress, of the accepted dress, rather.
Oh, awesome. Let me see if I can find that. Oh, share this tab. Can we see that? Can you guys see that?
Yes, that's the same neckline that she has in the shot there. So.
Oh, yeah. And the sort of puffier shoulders. Yep. Okay, there you go. Good. Thank you for that. Love it. Quick on your feet.
Good stuff.
So, confirmed. Nynaeve is in her accepted dress here. So, Rob, do you think that Elaine and Aviendha are in the same inn as Rand, Perrin, and Matt here?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
I mean, I have a hard time believing they're in the White Tower. I don't think Aviendha would go to the White Tower, A.
Right.
And B, if they are in the White Tower, she'd be in Novice White, right? Elaine would.
Yeah.
Maybe this is post-accepted test for both girls. Like Elaine and Egwene have done their accepted test, so they're allowed to venture the streets of Tar Valon now. So that's why she's allowed in the inn. Because that wouldn't make sense. Like,
that's a really good idea.
Only accepted are allowed outside the tower to begin with. So if Elaine's there to begin with, and she's not breaking the rules, or she's not lying low, or not showing herself for some reason, that would be the only reason I would think of that she could be there and not get in trouble.
Yeah,
because she's not in white.
I have a feeling that shot is from, the episode before they split up.
Yeah, I think so too. So this is a great point from Lisa.
Like a goodbye drink.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yosha did say that they started off the season together, and I actually have a slide about that too. He says they are together. It's kind of like home, but it's not home anymore. I feel like all these characters, they hold on to each other because it's the last thing they have. Speaking of Rand, he's really ready to face the dragon, basically, while he's with other characters. He does really love them. He's thinking ahead and has an intuition where he wants to go. He wants truth. He wants truth people. That doesn't make sense.
Truth, people he can trust. Yeah.
He wants truth, people he can trust. A place where he belongs. So, I do think that they're all together, except Nynaeve and maybe Egwene might be in the tower already. But I love your idea, Kevin, that maybe they do they're able to wander the streets. I mean, we've seen Nynaeve as an accepted. She was able to, right? Or maybe she even did it as a novice because she got special privileges with Liandrin. I think she was a novice. She hadn't even taken her accepted test yet when she was with Liandrin out in Tar Valon. But
when she brought her out with her, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Any good comments? If you guys see any comments, by the way, in chat, please shout them out. I don't want to miss anything.
So we should also be adding into that one the still of Egwene going into the arches.
Okay, perfect. Love it. So that's right here.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's exactly what I was thinking too. Yep.
So we're pretty sure this happens at some point in episode 1 because of this image, right? I actually have a hard time believing they're cramming so much into episode 1.
That is so much, yeah.
But I do have a feeling we're not going to see her entire test. I think we might see glimpses of her.
Oh, yeah. We don't need to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I have noticed that a few people mentioned that they think the Tower coup is probably happening a bit later in the season. I agree. Originally, the assumption was that the Black Aja reveal and the Tower coup were one and the same. And I don't think that's the case. I think the Black Aja reveal, they run off, maybe even Nynaeve and Elaine and possibly Matt chase them off to Tanchico. And I think the Tower coup happens a bit later in the season, either episodes 2 or 3, or maybe even further along. What do you guys think?
Especially if Garwin's involved, we're going to need that to be later because they're not even here yet, you know. And I think they're going to be able to make it very different to the Black Aja fight, because the Black Aja fight is going to be the Aes Sedai shredding each other. The Tower coup, we will see, you know, more of a military type thing with the Waters fighting and Garwin, you know, being involved and all of that sort of thing. Even if it doesn't play out the way it does with the book, it won't really be like Aes Sedai throwing their power around, because they're going to just like walk in and just still Swan and that's it. Gotcha. And then it's others that will be erupting.
I agree. And the fact that we have no images confirmed from episodes 3 or 5 makes me think, okay, it's probably happening around that time. But okay, cool. Moving on. Let's just scroll down here and look at some of these images and call them out if you see any that you're like, oh, that should go in episode 1 or 2. I'm trying to just quickly skim through these and see if there's anything.
So do you think they might be arriving in Ruidan at the end of episode 3 so that they can go through the columns in episode 4? Like how is Rand going to get from Valon to Ruidan? How's that going to play out?
Good question. I mean, we do have this scene of Rand and Lan in what looks like a sort of desert area, but there are some plants and things. Which makes me think this is on their way. Maybe like
I agree.
The Spine of the World, or what's it called? The Kinslayer's Dagger. Thank you.
Yeah.
Do we think they're going to take the ways? I mean, I don't think portal stones are happening, right? That's not a thing in the show.
The only way I could see them working in portal stones is if we have some kind of interaction between Lanfear and Rand, where she reveals that the Waygates also function in a different way.
Yeah,
like that's the only and even that to me is a stretch. Like I don't personally believe that would be happen, but if I saw portal stones in the show, that is how I could see them pulling it off in terms of like making it have some narrative sense and things, because the Waygates are such a prominent, you know, structure that they've built for the show, and they seem to like to use it for their promotional images. It would make sense to consolidate 2 magical transportation items into a single one. But that would be the only, you know, situation where I would think that. Outside of that, I think the Ways is probably the best guess, unless they do like a travel montage or a time jump between episodes. I'm not sure.
Well, and you know, typical TV show thing, they tend to just be places. They don't always show the travel.
Everything,
yeah. And
Tarvalon
is
much.
Close. Sorry.
Yeah, it's not
Paul,
too
go
far.
Ahead.
Yeah. No, absolutely. That was all I was really going to say, was it's too much. They need to just, all you need is a little training montage to understand that they're on the move. And they arrive, you know. Otherwise, we just don't have time.
So I am going to assume that this image of Lan is the same scene here. There's more to the shot where he's actually swiping his sword, and it matches the sword he's holding here. He's wearing the same clothes as the shot. So I think these two probably are part of the same sequence. Excuse me,
or at least the same episode. I would say, yeah.
I mean, I'm just so looking forward to this. This is something we've needed is this training sequence. I really hope they mention things like the flame and the void. I think that would be really awesome.
This would be the time to do it. You know, they've said enough. I think they've laid more than enough groundwork for it to make sense to even a non-book reader at this point. They would understand the concepts.
And especially as Rand is trying to figure out how to channel and he's dealing with all that, it just feels like the right time. This is also why I do like the idea of a waygate being used in some way and Rand attempting to channel and maybe messing it up. And instead of traveling through the ways, like you mentioned, something weird happens where he channels at the waygate and then they're in Ruidan.
And just steps out.
Something like that, yeah.
Which would be really actually cool because it would give this idea that this is another thing. I don't know that they're ever going to introduce skimming. I think it'll go straight to traveling.
It was too much in the books, so it's too much in the show. You know?
I don't know. Although, well, we can't talk about it. It's later in the
book.
There is something with a character that matters with skimming, but
well, look, I agree. But so it was. I only mean there were just ended up being so many magical ways, like of getting around that
and it does feel very much like
do it all.
Robert Jordan needed people to be places more, so he just kept inventing better and better ways to travel.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other images here stand out for the first couple episodes? I mean, it's tricky, right? Because let's talk about these. So this one of Matt being drawn at the inn and the one of them clinking the glasses from the most recent teaser. I think these definitely are episode 1. So let me pull these up.
Same.
Yeah.
And then I also think the Maiden's Kiss thing is probably episode 1, but I could be wrong about that. But I'm going to pull these up as well, and we can argue about that if you guys want. Episode 1. Boy, episode 1. We got a lot from episode 1, don't we?
I know. We've got the whole episode.
We're done here. No need to watch it, everybody.
I said it tongue in cheek in a comment to somebody, but I know that Rafe had, dreams and visions of an extra long premiere for season 1, episode 1 back in the day. And it would just, if they gave it to him for this season, I wouldn't complain if we had an extra long episode 1.
That would make sense as to why we've got so much for episode 1, because it's actually a 2-hour episode.
I mean, look, I'd be fine with that. So by the way, speaking of that, I heard a rumor. I don't know how true this is. I have not received any screeners. I don't know anything. I have no insider information. But I did hear a rumor that some news outlets have received a couple screeners, but only 2 this time, which is interesting to me because, typically they've given 3 or even 4 to news outlets ahead of time.
Yeah.
The idea that maybe only 2 are out makes me wonder, will episode 1 maybe be longer and they'll only release 2 episodes up front instead of 3?
Oh. There could be that's the first time I've heard anyone float that, but that could be something.
I mean, I could be
don't
wrong
want to
too.
get anyone's hope up. I would love that. It's purely my optimistic self saying we have so much going on in that first episode that I'd love if they gave it enough time to really breathe with it and enjoy each thread that they're laying out for the season. Yeah.
Somebody mentioned in the comments
one very appealing rumor.
Right, isn't it? Somebody, I don't remember who. I think it was Hybrid Havoc. I think somebody said they think that the girls will already be leaving Tar Valon to chase after the Black Ajah by the end of episode 1. I can't align that in my head because we've got the Black Ajah reveal and attack. We've got the boys in the inn and Aviendha and Elaine probably in the inn. We've got Maiden's Kiss. We've got accepted test for Egwene. I have a hard time believing we'll also get the recruiting the girls for the Black Ajah in the same episode. I think that will happen early in the season, like episode 2.
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys think?
It depends if we get a 2-hour or a 1.5-hour episode. Like now we're really, we're really stuck now.
Right.
But if it's a regular length episode, I think that the episode will end on the high note of Egwene goes through the arches and we just, we might just kind of see the Wonder Girls without any real context and the episode could end. And we don't need to see more. We don't need to see her come back through the arches and get water thrown out, because we actually already understand what will happen when that's over. We'll just,
that's very true.
We'll just kind of know that it's done. So they can't, and Elaine has to do her test because they're not going to send novices out. They need to have become accepted. But do we need to see Elaine's test? I think that if we know that they're both going to be tested and we see a little bit of Egwene, unless that crown is part of her test.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to bring this up. All right, Rob, you've been really quiet, so I want to get your input. What do you think is happening here with Elaine? Oh, I zoomed in too far. With Elaine putting on the rose crown. This is definitely the White Tower. I mean, unless there are interior White Tower sets somewhere else in the show, but I don't think so. They're really careful about that sort of thing. Even the windows, they're very careful to make the windows match the location. And this is the White Tower from everything I can tell. So what do you think's going on here, Rob?
I have a feeling that this is Tel'aran'rhiod. Either that or her accepted test. I think it's going to be kind of like a vision of a future where, something happens. And something happens to her mother, and she's just like, the weight of the crown, the weight of the moment. That's why she's so somber and stuff like that. So
I do love that. One of the things I love about Elaine's character is that she doesn't feel like she has the heart of a lion that the Queen of Andor needs to have, and yet she absolutely does. Like, she is so the queen, and yet that's one of her internal struggles, is she doesn't feel like she's worthy of it or whatever. And there was an image here that I was going to point out that made me think this could be part of her accepted test, but I got sidetracked.
Is it her and Rand?
Egwene and Rand? Elaine and Rand?
Elaine.
There was something. Kevin, I know Elaine's you're a big fan of Elaine.
Oh, you mean the Elaine photo?
Oh, do you mean the Elaine photo?
The Elaine photo? That one is, we could spend an hour talking about that one. Where is that? Why am I blind?
It's right. You can't even see it right there. Next to Gollum.
Oh, yeah, there it is.
Yeah. Okay. I'll bring this one up too. There was another one though that I wanted to drag up here that I thought could be related.
Interesting. Okay.
I don't think this necessarily goes here, but we can talk.
Yeah. So for Elaine's accepted test, I feel like, for me, it was one of those things that obviously we never saw it in the books either. And I think that it was for me when I had envisioned season 3 before we even saw the first teaser. I didn't think there were going to be any more accepted tests. I thought it was going to be, too much of a repeat beat and not enough, too much screen time than what we can afford. So even just seeing Egwene's on there surprised me. I still really don't think I'll have Elaine's, and that's, I think, as optimistic as I often am about things, that's the one thing where I'll buffer my expectations, because I don't want to get myself hyped to possibly see it and be let down. I've already accepted long ago that I would never see her accepted test. However, so when I do see that scene, I see that as either she's having a little heart-to-heart conversation with her mom before she leaves, before Morghese heads back to Caemlyn, and they happen to have a little bit of one-on-one time, and they're having a conversation. Maybe she gives her they're just sitting there across from each other, and she wants her to look. I don't know. I can't really even picture a full scene, but it is interesting that the windows behind Elaine are the same as the windows in the hall of the tower. I don't know if those are the same windows in other rooms of the tower as well. I haven't done that much look, but the window frames themselves match the ones that are even behind the one with Liandrin and probably Lanfear. Like, even those window frames look the same as the ones behind Elaine. So it's probably it's in the tower.
Yeah, it's
probably not a flashback. Maybe in Tel'aran'rhiod. I think that's a good middle ground, but probably not accepted test.
Yeah. The trickiest part is that she doesn't have the accepted sleeves, which makes it really confusing.
That's a good point, actually. Yeah.
But so here's my opinion. So first of all, about the windows, yes, you're right. These match windows in Tar Valon, but not just the Hall of the Tower. These same windows are in Swan's study, and they're found all around the tower sets. So they use the same. So I do think this is the Hall of the Tower, but it might not be. It might just be some random Tar Valon moment. Here's the reason. This is the image I was looking for. This one of what appears to be Liandrin and Lanfear in the Hall of the Tower.
Mm-hmm.
I have a theory about this. When I first released my teaser breakdown, I didn't think about this, but here's what I think. The Stone of Tyr is the meeting place in the books for the girls and for the Black Aja as well in Tel'aran'rhiod.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
That hasn't happened. That's not in the books yet, or in the show yet.
Mm-hmm.
And so my personal opinion is they're just going to use the Hall of the Tower set as the meeting place in Tel'aran'rhiod for the girls and for others. And remember, okay, so we are book spoilers up through book 5, right? Let me just
book 5.
Remind everyone up through book 5. So in book 3, that old woman, Sylvie, I believe is her name, appears to Egwene. Yeah. Is it Egwene or Nynaeve? I think it's Egwene.
Egwene.
It's Egwene, yeah.
Yeah, in the Heart of the Stone in Tyr.
Yeah.
And we're all pretty sure that's Lanfear in disguise, right? So
pretty sure.
I mean, I don't know that it was confirmed, but it seems pretty obvious that it's Lanfear in disguise. So I personally think we're going to see some of those types of things going on. I think that I'm not necessarily saying that this shot of Elaine is in Tel'aran'rhiod, but it would be an interesting way to explain how objects appear and disappear and clothing can change. Yeah. So I find that interesting. But also, one thing to note is the description of the scene at the very start of episode 1 says that columns in the hall fall down and that the hall is partially destroyed. Okay. And yet we have this shot. We have this shot here of the hall completely intact.
Yeah.
All right, you're cooking, Lauren. All right, keep going, keep going.
So what do we think? Do we think that this is a Tel'aran'rhiod? I think this is a Tel'aran'rhiod meeting.
I think you've sold
Liandrin wants to be in the Amerlin seat. Lanfear is sitting higher than her as a power move. Like
that's
a
huge thing that she's higher. Yeah.
I think she's
Yeah. And I think that Egwene is watching this.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
I think that Egwene's
she's like hiding in the columns. Okay, so this is another shot that I believe happens early on with Egwene. This shot right here, I think this is her in Tel'aran'rhiod accidentally appearing in the waste.
Dreamy, yeah.
Oh yeah, with Amis, with like the lion hunting or whatever. Yeah.
So I'm gonna move this to like episode 3-ish. I think somewhere around this area. So we could say this is in the middle, but I think this is before episode 4. This stuff. We don't know exactly which episode. This one too, we don't know.
Yeah,
but I think we're seeing
goes with that Egwene scene.
Yeah, and I also another one I think that you could probably add to there is the one of her and Rand laying on the blanket.
Yes. Let me find that. Right here.
Yeah, because I think
the look on their faces. Priceless.
And I didn't I should have got a screenshot of this, but Sharon Gillam on Instagram literally said World of Dreams when she tagged this photo, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And I think that's
their favorite new leaker.
What
I love it.
We're thinking.
Okay. That's
she's a great she's coming for Priyanka's crown of Queen Leaker.
Yeah.
I love it. I love her. Yes. Man, I have got to book my tickets for WatCon. I can't wait. I hope that she brings some of her costumes to display at WatCon. Wouldn't that be incredible?
Imagine if she let me dress
You're
up
making
as
my
Turok.
heart race.
Oh my gosh.
If
she let me wear
go
the
Rob,
armor of
go
Turok.
Rob.
Oh, can you imagine? Oh, man. Okay, so I know we keep returning back to episode 1. Oh, go ahead, Koala. Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. And what if she brings the Amerlin's costume?
Oh yeah.
Like, oh my God.
Like I don't want to brag, but I've been up close to that thing, and
you have. Okay, it's old hat for you, I know. If we're going back to episode 1, Lisa Donaldson was saying in chat, what about the bubbles of evil?
Yes, thank you. So that's something I wanted to bring up. So my theory, and I'm still holding to this, is that the bubbles of evil are definitely episode 1. That they go along.
We've got to be getting along episode 1.
Right. So this is another one of those things where it's like,
you
how
heard
do
it
we
first,
fit this
guys.
all?
Here first.
So this is the only bubbles of evil shot, right? the explosion in
Yes.
Rand's room? There isn't another one that we know of.
The only one. And of course, remember, that was about that was about 0.8 of a second of video.
Right. Maybe this one.
Full shot.
I'm going to assume this one of Matt as well.
I actually posted the awning behind him in that shot is the same awning as the one in the Bane and Chiad, Yeah, that's Maiden's Kiss. Yeah. Or it's the same room as the Maiden's Kiss,
See, so I think it happens something like this. I think Maiden's Kiss plays out. Whether or not his scratches come from Maiden's Kiss or the cards, because there are cards in this shot on the table. There's a deck of cards, and then, and as we learned from Koala, they're actually cards of time.
And they're actually the cards of time.
No, if only.
I proved it.
Go and watch Koala's latest video. It's really funny. She has a very well photoshopped shot of the graphics of the cards just like sitting there on the screen. It's really funny.
What I reckon, if you want my little theory, is that they start to play Maiden's Kiss with Matt, and then the bubble of evil starts, and the cards actually get it.
Yes, I agree.
It's going to be like really start. People who haven't read the books are just going to be. They're just getting a hold on the Maiden's doing this with him, and next thing he's being attacked by cards, and and then we see Rand, and will we see Rand first or Matt first? I think if they do the Maiden's Kiss thing as part of that bubble of evil, it will be more of a shock if we see Matt first and then Rand.
Yeah, completely agree. I the way I see this playing out is during the day. Well, I kind of talked about this in my video, but basically I think Moiraine leaves the inn to investigate the explosion. While the cat's away, the mice play. Matt pulls out the horn and he's like, "Hey, ladies, check this out!" Right? He gets into some trouble.
He has it back.
Yeah. Well, so there's been a lot of debate too among fans about, is this in character for Matt? Would Matt do this? Because
it really is.
his whole persona is, "I'm no bloody hero," but I want you to remember that's what he says to himself in his head.
Correct.
His actions are very different. Somebody pointed out on Reddit, I saw a comment on Reddit recently that they said there's actually a scene in book 4 when Jason Natale, the Gleeman in the Waste, approaches Matt and wants to ask about his life. He's like, "Hey, tell me about your life." And Matt's like really hesitant, but then he's like, "I could write a hero song for you." And then Matt's like, he just spills the beans.
Right.
And I had forgotten about that scene, but that does fit into Matt's character.
That's nice to remember with what we've just seen of Matt. Yeah.
So this is how I see this playing out. I see them having a good time. This shot right here probably is very close to all of this. I think as it gets later in the evening, we see, this goes right there. So they're having a good time. Matt's probably posing. We know in this shot of Matt posing that Rand is just off to the side on the left here, which is this probably almost this exact same sequence. And so then I think they get drinks together.
Which makes sense of Perrin's face now when we know what Matt's doing.
Right.
Right.
He does look
You've got Rand just doing his little, Matt, and Perrin's just doing his like, Matt, what the living?
Yeah, see this. He's no hero while doing heroic things. But also, Matt will say anything to kiss and tickle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
So I don't put it. Now it is weird that he's flaunting the horn. This is why my theory is that Moraine's out of the picture at the moment. Because I'm surprised she even let him keep it, to be honest. Like, she should have taken that thing immediately. But I also mentioned this in my video as well, but I love the idea that all these people around him are completely ignoring him. And so he probably commissioned this artist, like, "Hey, draw me like a hero," and no one cares. Like in this shot, there's even a guy who's like covering his face, like he's embarrassed to be there. So anyway,
and honestly, would you even believe it's the real horn if someone? They probably heard this story before. Like, someone walks in, like, "Oh, I got the horn of Valyr right here," and they're like, "Yeah, sure you do, buddy. Okay."
And the guy sells those down the street.
Because once he blew it, like, if anybody else blows it, nothing's gonna happen, right?
Exactly.
So nobody else is gonna believe him. you know?
Exactly, which goes along with that shot of the girl in the tower about to blow it.
Yeah, right.
Oh, we got to talk about that one. Yeah.
Okay, so I think we're all in agreement here that these shots happen in episode 1. We're not totally sure about this Elaine Aviendha shot, but I think as the evening progresses, people are drinking, they're having a good time. I also mentioned in my video that I think, similar to other books, they kind of think they won. Just like Rand's always like, I killed the Dark One, like, because he's an idiot. But that being said, that this quote from Yosha does suggest that Rand's already planning for the future, that he isn't just wanting to sit still. So I do think Rand's taking a moment of peace with his friends, but he is planning the next steps. I don't think he is totally convinced that it's all over. And the reason I think that is because enter Lanfear, right? Now, I believe these shots of Lanfear and Rand getting close are also from episode 1. Because he's wearing the blue shirt, and I think he's in the inn.
But what I love is I think she does a morph during that kiss, because she's got long hair and then she's got short hair.
Right.
Right. You see that? If those two shots are the same moment, she's got long straight hair and now she's got the short hair with that's bobbed. I love it.
I really hope we get face morphing.
No, I think that the short hair one that you have right there, like by the columns. Yeah, I think that's probably her leaving the talk with Liandrin in the dream, because when she has the short hair, that's her Tel'aran'rhiod look. And I don't know if they would show that typically in real life.
Typically it is, yeah.
We're never going to get beyond episode 1, but hey, that's where most of the images are. But here's the thing. I have things to say about this.
Maybe that's the one that they got released like first too, so the marketing's like, okay, we got to do all this stuff from shots of the early episodes, because that's all we get access to right now.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty typical that they front load a lot of stuff because they don't want to give away the end, right? Yeah. They'll tease it with 1 or 2 shots. Okay, here's the thing.
Or they're still working
my
on
theory
the
is
for the later shots.
My theory is that in season 2, yes, Lanfear had short hair in the dream, long hair in the real world. But once she revealed herself to Rand as her true self, I think she will appear in close quarters with Rand with her hair short as her true Lanfear self.
Yeah, I think you're right.
It doesn't matter so much now.
Because I think it, like, if I recall, the shot where she's blowing up Kyrian, she has the short hair in the silver suit, right?
No, it's long.
It's long.
She's still presenting herself. Is it really short in that scene? Yeah, it's long. I'm pretty sure it's long hair in that scene.
No, it's long. It's long.
Yeah, and she's wearing the same clothes in that scene that she's wearing in wherever that shot was of her. This shot, it seems to be when she's in the dream.
It is a very, very similar.
And notice, so this is part of the trick. If this scene is in Tel'aran'rhiod, as I assume, she has long hair in this scene. Yep. So, in my opinion, she appears with long hair as the scary Lanfear that people think is a scary Forsaken. That's how she appears to them. I think in the dream with Rand or Ishi, and maybe even Moraine, she appears with short hair because it's her true self.
Herself.
Yeah, you know,
and that's what's interesting about those two kissing photos that are side by side. Is she's got long hair and then she's got short hair. So, are they the same scene, or are they two encounters of her with Rand? Because she either morphs halfway through the kiss and her hair shortens, or they are two different scenes.
I just noticed this comment from Matt from the Dusty Wheel saying maybe this scene of the of them is something that Moraine sees in one of her futures. That could be very interesting, where Liandrin's the Amarlin seat in one of her futures.
Yep.
And then Lanfear sees her and slits her throat or something. Yeah.
You know, the one complaint that I've had about the show that I don't know if I've ever told anybody, but like in the books, it's very clear. Like, you know, he's very descriptive of like how when you're in Tel'aran'rhiod, everything looks a certain way. You know, like there's not direct light, but there's light everywhere, and it's just like it feels ethereal, but you know, and you can't quite place it. And visually with the show, I haven't been able to tell, just looking at a shot, if they've established like a visual feel for Tel'aran'rhiod or not.
Well, that brings up this shot.
It makes this kind of thing very confusing because like we can't tell looking at it like by any visual cues that this is the dream world. And
I agree.
I really think that like for a casual viewer, that would be a helpful thing.
They do auditory.
Not saying they do the fuzzy borders like.
They do.
They do echo more though.
Oh, that's cool.
So it's
I didn't
like
know.
audio cue.
Yeah, there's audio cues, and like you can hear like when Lanfear and Rand are on like that vista, or when Rand is in his, I've killed everyone, Kyrian dreams. The voices are always more echoey and has more of a displaced kind of ethereal sound to it. But I agree, the visual aspect is probably not as much there. Definitely more so. I'd say I've noticed with the auditory stuff though.
Interesting. Yeah, I didn't pick up on that. That's great. All right, what am I doing? Trying to make this work. Okay, here's the thing. This now the set of Tar Valon it's a small-ish. I mean, it's very large for a set, but they're intentionally reusing this one set they built for a city that's giant, right? So, grain of salt here. But when I was there visiting, right here where Lanfear is standing, if she takes one step to her left in front of this these stones right here, she's looking down onto the street. Right down there on that street is the corner where they are in this inn.
Right.
Okay.
And right around the corner, if she walks through this doorway here and walks around the corner, that's the bridge that we see Moraine walking past towards the Yellow Aja quarters.
Yep.
So again, this could be
where the barber was and Pattern Fane was hiding out.
That's a different place. That's a different location.
Okay.
Which is also tricky because it might be the same inn, it might not. I don't know.
I think that is. You would put the question out on Blue Sky, I think, about the lion window. And so I really think that this is the light's blessing. And because, as a nod to Basil Gill, the good Queen's man, he has the Andor lion in his windows, or maybe this is his second inn. He's building a network of inns, and so he has the original one in Camelin, and then this is his second, shop that he's opened.
Yeah. Well, and there is a point, I hope, where Matt goes on a gambling spree all across Tar Valon and goes through a bunch of inns, right? We hope we get to that. But okay.
But I do think it is the light's blessing. I think that since they've established that, even as briefly as it was, then that'll be kind of like their go-to, in Tar Valon that they stay at. And hopefully we'll see the same actor, as Basil Gill, make an appearance again. I doubt
I hope so too.
You never know. I mean, he did get a name drop, right? Didn't she say Master?
She says Master Gill, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, that was
and he's named in the X-ray as well.
Yeah, and I don't think he even said anything. At least, in the actual episode, maybe, he had lines that were cut or whatever. But he did get a name credit, which usually means that they had a spoken line, right? Technically, according to their... Well, right. I don't think they're Screen Actors Guild for this because they were able to film during the strike, so maybe that doesn't apply. But.
Any other images from episode 1, or do we think that Matt
all
goes
of them in episode 1?
You're right. I think Matt goes. I think some. So here's what I think. I think they're going to be at the inn. Life's good. Rand goes up to his room. People stay down in the inn drinking. Matt gets into some trouble with Maiden's Kiss. Enter Lanfear. Enter Bubble of Evil. Matt and Perrin will probably also have something happen down in the common room. This is very likely Perrin behind Matt here in this shot. So
yep.
I think the Bubble of Evil is kind of going to be the thing that they go, oh, we're not hiding and there's still a fight to fight. Yeah. And so that's kind of how I see all of this playing out, which then leads to, and then in my video, I posted that GIF, the shot from Community when Troy enters the room with the pizza and everything's on fire. Yep. I think that's basically what's going to happen. I think Moraine's going to come back and be like, what's going on? And, Rand covered in blood and all the glasses shattered.
Kids for a moment.
If that is Perrin in the background, then they could conceivably combine Matt and Perrin's Bubbles of Evil.
That's what I think.
If there's an axe on the wall and they just fly,
or one of the maiden spears.
Something different that they're fighting. Maybe it's a spears.
I think one of the maiden spears might kind of go crazy or something. Well, anyway, keep this is how I think all this is playing out. The question here is, when do people like Elaine and Matt go to the tower? I think that happens episode 2. I think Moiraine's like, okay, we're not safe here. We need to go to the tower. What do you guys think? I'm going to find those images of Matt in the tower.
So, how does Egwene decide that she's going to the waste with Rand? Do you think that that's going to start in episode 2?
Yes.
And they're going to take off.
Yeah.
And that becomes an episode 2 thing. And Elaine, and we know Nynaeve's already up in the tower because she was testifying. So Elaine and Matt and Loyal go up to the tower. And so what about Aviendha? She's going to go with Perrin.
So
is that what we think?
Well, that's my guess. I know it's controversial, but yes, that's my thinking. Is Aviendha takes place of Gaul, goes with Bane and Chiad,
and Bane
Perrin
and Chiad.
Loyal.
Yeah, because that's where I'm trying to kind of look at episode 2 now. Is how that split up is going to happen? Because if we get a 2-hour episode 1, it's going to kind of encompass some of what we're thinking of episode 2. But otherwise, episode 2 would have to be, the splitting up of everybody, wouldn't it?
Yeah, this is the tricky part. Is I agree with you that Egwene, it's tricky. I don't know what to do about Egwene because I think that she is going to be with Rand and Lan and Moiraine, but how does that happen if they're already on the road in episode 2?
To the tower and do her. Oh no, she's done her test in episode 1, hasn't she?
Right.
Yeah. So because I think that's the critical thing is what is it like that makes Egwene decide to do it? She does her test and then she has a dream, or does she see stuff in her test that makes her decide like they've got to,
See, this all feels like episode 2 to me. To me, episode 2 and maybe 3, you're focusing on the Queen coming, which means we're going to learn more about Elaine. We're going to have Elaine dealing with her insecurities about becoming queen someday. We're going to learn about Elida a little bit. But then we're also going to have Matt and him facing, I'm assuming, Elaine's brothers, or one of them at least, in the Tower Gardens, right? But then I think we're also going to have the girls recruited by Swan and possibly Moiraine to hunt the Black Aja, where they're going to learn some clues about, they went to this place, Tanchico. And I think that will lead to them also having Egwene go into the dream. Because remember, in book 4, Egwene goes to the dream and she is trying to think of how she can help Rand. And so she keeps trying to go to Tanchico. And every time she goes there, she has like this stray thought about the Aiel and ends up in the Aiel waste.
And jumps.
And that's when Melaine or whoever it is, contacts her and says, "What are you doing here?" And then
so that's what I think this shot is.
Train with us.
This shot to me has like a very surreal feeling. It feels like a dream to me.
And it feels like she's in the waste for some reason.
That's what I think,
Yeah. That's what I've thought from the start.
So she has to be told, come to the waste, you're a dreamwalker. Yep. And she has to decide to go with Rand and Lan and Moiraine all in the same episode.
Because he's going to announce that he's going.
And if they follow closely that part in the books, that stuff happens with Elaine like right before they go and Rand makes his announcement, because then they're surprised. They're like, "Oh, we're going to the waste too. We didn't expect Rand to announce that, but he announces it and like, because he's like, I have to do what they don't expect." And they're like, "Well, we didn't expect that because we wouldn't think that he would go there. Why would he go there?" And they get the separate calls at the same time. Or Rand feels like he needs to go there because of all of his studying. And Moraine's ticked off that he's just like spending all this time reading books and stuff like that. And they're like, he's trying to find his way. But yeah, I mean, I've just been at that part in the audiobook in Rosamund's version of it. And so that part's kind of fresh in my mind. But
so here's a question. Do we think that Rand will meet Elida? Because to me, that's a really important moment in book 1 where she has a foretelling about him.
I was thinking about that too. Yeah.
I just don't see Rand being in the tower.
No, he's not gonna want to go up in there.
Yeah.
being in Tar Valon is one thing, because at least, because he has motives where he's always wanted to like read about the prophecies. He has, as the closest he's going to get to their library and get access to books, and that's a lot of what he does in between books 3 and 4. Is he does a ton of reading of prophecies and everything. He pours himself into that. So being in Tar Valon is the best place for him to be, to get that knowledge. But I it's hard to imagine him willingly, for any reason, going into the tower up to that point. I mean, Tar Valon is one step, but going into the tower itself is an even further step, which is hard to imagine.
For sure.
In season 1, when they were in the inn and he met Loyal, then that was in the Light's Blessing, right?
Yeah.
And so like we know that he's got the prophecy book there, so he'd be hanging out there and reading.
Ooh, I love that. I hope we see more of that. Look, the prophecies are something I desperately want in the show. We need more of that for sure.
They're in Tar Valon, so I thought maybe Rand would get a hold of some books there and do a bit of reading.
Yeah,
because I think we've got a big time jump, and so what we're seeing, we won't really see him studying, but we, maybe in that bubble of evil shot, once that all dies down, there'll be stacks of books. We'll kind of get that understanding that he's being.
Okay. Here's another question, and maybe you guys remember this, or have a better picture of it. But in so far as I can recall, in the show, they don't really call out like the Dark One. They haven't really explained like the theological aspect. Right? They're just like the dark, these guys are evil, like the Trollocs are evil, there's the Forsaken. And if Rand is still thinking like, yeah, I killed the Dark One because like he saw Ishamael die when he stabbed him and he dusted away, right? Then, that would kind of be a good thing for him to kind of like, pick up on as he's reading too. If it's not common knowledge in the world, like it is in the books, like maybe the fact that there is some bigger power at work. I don't know. They haven't really leaned into that in the show, have they?
Not much. You're right. That's one of the big things that I'm really. I actually think it's a smart move. The other thing we don't know is, how is the Dark One sealed away? The assumption was that the seals. The assumption was that the seals from season 2 were the seals on the Dark One's prison, but we learned no, those are the seals for the Forsaken.
Yeah, and Brian thought that the seal at the Eye of the World, or was it Swan, thought that the Dark One was like that was it, right?
They thought that was like the boar. Yeah,
that was the boar. Right.
Which I have a theory that the scene when Lanfear has Rand tied to the wheel in Tel'aran'rhiod is right next to the boar. On the wide shot of that, it literally looks like there's a tunnel that digs into the earth, and it's shaped like the sinuous Aes Sedai symbol. Well, yeah. So I absolutely think you're right. You're onto something there, Matt. Rob, I almost called you Matt.
Because his theory was so good.
Yeah. So I do think that now that Ishi's out of the picture, maybe I think the Dark One is going to become more of a focus. I still hope that the palm-sized seals are a thing. I really think that would be interesting. And you're going to Tanchico, you're finding other relics. Why not find a seal? Makes sense to me, but. Okay, we've got to move on. Do we think this shot of Matt in the tower with this girl is episode 2 as well, or at least around this time?
Yeah, it would have to be.
That's my assumption.
And I
think it's them like trying to like sequester him.
Yeah, exactly.
Because there's the food on the table because of this. You talked about in your video.
Yeah,
What's that?
You talked about all the empty bowls of food on the table.
Okay, yes. So this is another thing I so desperately want to see. I don't know if there's time for it, but I want to see Matt being separated from the Shadow Logoth dagger. That moment when they're healing him and he starts yelling at the Aes Sedai in the Old Tongue is so awesome. And the fact that they have these plates here with just like a ton of food missing.
Ton of food
gives me hope.
People,
I also I'm hopeful that this is Lanfear in disguise, because there's just so many funny things that happen.
Grinwell.
Right, Grinwell.
That's on my bingo card. That's Land, and I think that Lanfear. I think that Lanfear is going to use the Mask of Mirrors a lot.
Yes. And another thing, doesn't she tempt him?
Moggy really threatened her about staying away from Rand. And so I think we're going to see Lanfear is just going to be popping up as different people all over the place.
Oh, that's going to be so fun to like try to spot Lanfear.
Yeah. Because we've had the foreshadowing of that with her doing it in Tel'aran'rhiod when she was Rand in bed with Ishamael. So, we've kind of got the idea that she could pretend to be someone, but now she's going to be doing it out in the real world. And it would just be too delicious for that to be not to be Else Grinwell, because they changed the name of that little girl in season 1 who was going to be Else. So the only reason could be for her to pop up.
Okay, something crazy just dawned on me, and I'm formulating a theory. I got to find that. Where's the shot of? Okay, this shot. Right, look at this. So, we're asking the question, like, how is it that Egwene goes with them towards the waste in episode 2? If we're just learning about things like the World of Dreams, and we're dealing with Matt, and the Queen arrives, and there's all these other things happening in the White Tower. But I just realized what happens here is the Bubbles of Evil attack happens. Yep. They panic. They separate. Lan and Rand temporarily leave the city and go camping or something outside of the city, awaiting Moraine's arrival, while she continues to deal with the girls and Elida and all the things happening in the White Tower. So maybe now, but here's the thing. Look at this. This person right here in this shot, could that be... Could that be this? Look at the shoulder pad thing here, and look at this like pointy shoulder pad, and look at the background too. It's kind of similar to me.
Yeah.
I never like put these two together before, but she could absolutely be watching Rand and Lan, and they might not even know she's there.
And that's on point.
Anyway, this shot's hard for me to place, but maybe she's there keeping an eye on Rand, and he's outside of the city kind of awaiting. All the shenanigans go down at the tower. By the end of episode 2 or maybe episode 3, that's when everyone separates. Egwene goes with Moraine to meet the boys, and they start heading to the waste.
Okay.
And then you've got Elaine and Nynaeve heading to Tanchico. What do you think?
Because she knows how to travel, so she can just pop up
anywhere,
here, there, everywhere, and do whatever she wants and be gone again.
Secret.
We understand that. So although why she rode that horse is a bit beyond me.
Okay.
I mean, she had to follow a trail, didn't she? She couldn't just travel because she didn't know where they were going.
So that shot of Lan, that next one, right?
This one right here.
Yes.
He's looking at her.
I think he's looking at Rand because she probably appears to Rand, and he's like, "What?" Because you remember the similar scene in the Great Hunt where like all of a sudden the weird wall
wind.
of air, the wind, and so like something weird is gonna happen. Lan's not gonna see it, I don't think, and it'll distract Rand, and he's like, "What's going on? Why?"
Break the concentration that he talks about the flame and the void. It's all coming together. I love it.
Instead of the wind sort of holding him, it'll be a break of concentration.
Yeah,
because Lanfear is doing something. Yeah. Ooh. How are we doing? Any good comments?
Lan would recognize her if he saw her because they went through the ways together, and he knew that she was Lanfear at that point. So. He sees her, but I don't know.
We could be way off with this. Like this might not be together. These two shots of Lanfear and them, but because she's saying this could be Moraine here. It's hard to say, isn't it? I saw a comment, I think from the Dusty Will, that said that it looks like there's a river behind her. That could be the river that Tar Valon sits on. It could be outside of the city.
Aranon.
Okay, well, these might not all be episode 2, but early season is what we're assuming. Okay, let's. So this is another one. These ones are really tricky, but I do like the idea that this is Elaine in the World of Dreams or in Tanchico, kind of with some sort of disguise.
Yeah,
I just cannot see
think it's
Kira.
The World of Dreams. I think she's like figuring out, and that's why it's like Kevin, when you did the morphing, effect, I was like, I bet she's putting on the mask of mirrors, or not mask of mirrors, but like in Tel'aran'rhiod, she's discovering that she can change her appearance.
That's kind of my theory too, that maybe this is like a mid morph shot, and that's why it's confusing. Okay, so I think we're pretty much good on the first few episodes. Now it becomes a little trickier because these could be anywhere. But let's just kind of go quick. So we know that this one right here is part of episode 4, because we know this promo still is from episode 4, which means I'm just going to guess that Ruidan and the glass column stuff is all episode 4. Do you guys think that it's going to take place over 2 episodes? I have a hard time believing that personally.
No.
So I'm going to drag a bunch of stuff.
I think they'll lose the impact of it.
So this,
I think that's Rafe's episode, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it'll be like, kind of like they did the dedicated, most of the episode to Nynaeve's test in season 2. I think it'll be a similar thing with like the bulk of the episode is going to be, the glass columns.
I also think that. I think I'm going to just go out on a limb and say these shots are probably part of his visions.
Yep.
I think the Age of Legends one is as well.
Where's that one? This one? Right here?
Yep. Yeah. I think that's
I'm putting these here in the end, but they're not part of the end.
I think they'll be going to create the boar.
Is there anything else here that you see that we think is for sure like glass columns? I know there's some shots of like Rand and Moiraine walking away from Ruidan, but I'm not entirely convinced that Moraine's visions will all happen at the same time, although they could. We could get all of this. Do we think episode 4 ends with him carrying her out, or do you think they'd wait till episode 5 for that? I'll start moving these up.
It's a very good question.
Just because I think that if episode 4 is really focused on Rand, then, I think that'll be like, picking up where they left off, kind of a, intro kind of a thing for the next episode.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. Although, wasn't there a quote? I don't have this one, but wasn't there a quote from Rafe or somebody who said, there's an episode where we're in 3 different worlds. You've got visions, it's something like Rand, Moiraine, and Egwene are all in different worlds or something. Yeah. So my thinking is, okay, so you've got Rand and Ruidan glass columns, you've got Moiraine and her future rings, the rings.
Yeah.
And then you've got Egwene and Tel'aran'rhiod figuring stuff out.
Yeah.
But I have a hard time believing that's all episode 4. I don't know. It's crazy.
That could be. I mean, like if Rafe is describing it, like odds are, he would be describing his own episode that he wrote.
Yeah, the comments are agreeing that and he thought they were talking about episode 4 with that.
So do we want to just drag all of these Moiraine like vision shots to episode 4 for now?
I think so, because it's the mid climax episode. So I mean, it's going to be the game changer that book 4 was.
But then, do you think that we go away from them for the bulk of the remainder of this season? Because,
well, no, because we still have them dealing with the Aiel, going to Cold Rock's Hold, which is something we haven't talked about yet.
Al-Kardal.
We've got Al-Kardal at the end, and he who comes with the dog.
He tweets.
Same difference, right?
That's who the actor is.
We've also got these shots of Moiraine in the Aiel Waste, finding the ball and then using it.
And that's supposed to be episode 8, isn't it?
What's that?
And that's supposed to be episode 8.
This one is here where she's in a different dress.
But she's in different clothing. I know.
Yeah. So there was a leak.
So tricksy.
Are we talking about leaks here? I'll just mention very briefly. There was a leak related to this ball that she finds, and that she goes and gets it from Ruidan after their Ruidan experience. Like she returns back, gets it, and then takes it out into the desert.
I didn't hear anything about that.
So my assumption is that all kind of happens before they leave Ruidan to head to their next destination, but they're like camping in episode 5.
that's feels like a stretch, doesn't it? I'm just trying to
Pinch of
imagine
salt
the
with any
Aiel.
leak. Pinch of salt.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
pinch
just
of
trying
salt,
to imagine
exactly.
the Aiel not noticing someone run back to Ruidan, you know, or if they see, they go, yeah, that's fine, she can go again.
That's true. But we do
what if
have Rand.
No, Lanfear wouldn't take her back because at this point they're
we
mortal enemies, right? Like after all those visions.
This could also be World of Dreams. Here's the thing. In the books, Rand is walking through the city. Remember with Rand and Matt when they're walking through Ruidan?
Yeah,
and Rand eyes the statues.
Yeah, he does.
And he kind of like makes a mental note and then they keep going. And then later he returns to grab the statues.
Yep, he does. Yep.
So I feel like Moiraine's going to be doing that in the show.
Okay.
I could be wrong, but I hope I've convinced you. No. Well, are there any other shots here that we think are vision shots? Oh, this.
If that episode 8 shot with her, like, you know, with the ball, like, there's not the mist over Ruidan if she's still in Ruidan.
And what is she doing with that ball?
She's not in Ruidan. No, so according to the leak, she goes back to get it, but then she goes out into the desert to try and use it, which is why, in my opinion, she's experimenting with it here and seems really unconfident. Mm-hmm. She's like, what is this thing and how does it work? But then in this shot, she's so confident using it.
Yeah.
Remember, she's wearing the same dress here in what we know is episode 8 as this shot right here, where she's appearing to be in Al-Kardal with the white sand and Lanfear is slitting her throat, but there's no orb. So my assumption is in one of her future flashes, she sees this playing out. And so she goes and gets the orb in an attempt to change her future. Gotcha. That's my assumption.
Okay.
Nice foreshadowing. But my question is, what is she doing with it? What is its purpose and what is she doing with it?
Exactly.
Question.
I don't know.
Zip.
It might just be. It might be the only way that she can match Lanfear blow for blow. Like their power levels are pretty significant.
She's going to use it to fight Lanfear.
Yeah, I think that could be the only gap. Like.
Yeah, because at that, what is this? This is 5.
Oh,
like you said spoilers up through book 5, right?
Yeah.
So when they have their conflict on the docks at Kyrian in the book, then she has, it's like a woman twisted on herself like that, the Angreal that she uses because like she wouldn't have been able to beat Lanfear without it, right?
Right.
At first Lanfear had it and then she got it from her.
Yeah, it's a different Sangreal, but it's still one that she uses to try to fight Lanfear at the docks.
Yeah. So I'm thinking this might be like a show version of that.
Also, we're all calling it the Chodan Ball.
Yeah, it's something to bridge the gap.
Because that's fun. Yeah.
We call it the Chodan Ball, but that doesn't mean this is the Chodan Call or the female version. There might still be those later. This is actually called in the leaks the Sakarnan, which is Demandred's Sangreal. That's a little later in the book. Sorry, spoiler.
Yeah.
Weird. Isn't that kind of
weird? Anytime I hear that, it feels to me like a leak. It feels like a leaked like audition script where like they change names of items or people.
Exactly.
Like that, anytime I hear anyone call it that, I'm like,
grain of salt for sure. Yeah.
Might as well call it Steve. Yeah.
It's so so weird. Like.
Okay, we're getting you guys. We are actually getting there, but it's because
we are getting there.
So here's the thing. I am going to assume that this scene where Moiraine is actually telling Lan, I saw 1,000 futures, and when I live, Rand dies, right? I think this happens after episode 4, where she's kind of dealing with the trauma of it, which is what leads her to go and try to find the Chodan Ball. The big question is, does Rand carry her out in the same episode where he first enters Ruidan? And do all of her future visions and all of this happen in one single episode? Seems like a lot to me, but I'm cool with it.
It is a lot.
I think he carries her out as the intro of the next episode.
Yeah, because we haven't done the emo 5. You know, the scene.
This one here.
Yeah.
All of the words.
Oh, we have thrown that in because I think that would be the perfect ending for episode 4. Right, we get all this stuff happening, and kind of end with this, oh my God. And
just her getting killed over and over and over.
Her getting killed over and over. And the final one of that, of them being all totally taken over by the dark and involved in it.
I love that.
Because because that's going to just, everyone, it's just going to be like, no, you can't stop there, and just on the edge of their seat for episode 5.
Love it.
And then in episode 5, we can come out of the waste.
Okay, interesting. Okay, I'm on board with that.
Or we can come out of Ruidan, and there's still so much to pack in.
Okay, so a couple things here. I assume this is them arriving in the waste and being told by the wise ones to enter Ruidan. I assume
getting permission.
They then go to Ruidan. Rand is in. He sees the tree. We see him walking through the columns. We see him experiencing visions. I assume this is a vision of him as Janduin. I assume that this is a vision of him in the Age of Legends. Age of Legends here as well. Then we also see Moiraine. These eyeballs, I mean, I think this is Moiraine, but it could be anyone. It could be Egwene waking up from a dream. It's hard to say, right?
Looks like Moraine's eye.
Yeah. So the ones where the camera is like flying over them, all of these shots are here in a row. So I think these are her future visions. The big question for me is, what about this one? Do we think Swan and Moiraine are actually going to reunite in their little hut, or is this a vision?
I think that is Lanfear as Swan.
Even worse.
Which some think leads to this scene. Although didn't someone figure out what bed this is?
Yeah, no, that's Lanfear's bed that in Tel'aran'rhiod that she had Rand in.
In Cairhien.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yes, which burned down. So this is very likely a dream.
It was it was the Tel'aran'rhiod one that she had. I mean, she had it in Cairhien, but remember she had him in bed in Tel'aran'rhiod, and then he, had the fire dream. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Premature fire.
The pillows are the same. The whole headboard's the same. It's exactly the same bed.
Oh, awesome. Glad I genuinely looked at a bunch of beds and didn't find it, so I'm glad you found it.
Yeah.
I think that's like
whereas
in Moraine's vision, she and Swan are together, but then it's like, no, Lanfear's in control. She's in Lanfear's bed, about to get killed again.
That's kind of what I think. The way the scene plays out, she seems like she's enjoying it until she gets strangled, and then she's like, oh, it's Lanfear.
Mind you, it still could work. I mean, she could be thinking that she's in the hut kissing Swan, and as they fall into the bed becomes Lanfear's Tel'aran'rhiod bed, and Swan becomes Lanfear. I mean, that, that's a real dreamy thing to be in one room, and the next thing, that room's not even the room you thought you were in.
Yeah. I think that's
Kevin's face.
Be the first. I think that's going to be the first of Moraine's, getting killed visions.
Interesting. That's a great way to start it. That's a great way to start it for her, because she's experiencing this wonderful moment, and it's like, oh, good, we get to see them together, and then it turns bad, and then we just see a bunch of shots of her getting killed and pursued by Lanfear.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's a great idea. Okay, so are we still on board though that this, whatever is happening here, it's probably part of her visions or the same sequence? Okay.
Does this make episode 5 the titled "He Who Comes with the Dawn"? Then,
see, I don't know. I still think that's the finale. Personally, that's my personal opinion, but it could absolutely be that. I mean, the sun is literally rising behind him here.
Yeah, and I kind of think about how they did in season 2, where like Daughter of the Night, right? Like,
they didn't really match.
But then it wasn't the reveal until the next episode. So
right.
That's why I think this might be kind of similar.
I'm totally on board with that for sure.
Except that it would kind of be a season climax to have Rand pronounced as the Karakan in the final episode, wouldn't it? Because if we think of people who haven't read the books,
it's a callback to episode 5, right?
If we if we think of people who haven't read the books,
meaning of the title,
just doing all of what he did in the glass columns and what he saw, and Moraine and Egwene, they have no idea what that's going to lead to. You know, like we didn't, when he came through the glass columns, we still didn't understand that then you're going to meet Couladin and all of that sort of stuff is going to go down. So we could come out of that and you're like, oh, wow. Oh, and now we start to go to Tanchico and the Two Rivers, and we're absorbed in them for the next few episodes. And then we come back to end off with Rand.
Yeah. Well, I do think
and Moraine and Lanfear facing off. Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Interspersed in those few episodes, I don't think it's fully going to be all Tanchico in one episode and all Battle of the Two Rivers.
I agree.
Because they do cut back and forth.
Absolutely.
And so I think that we'll see, like, you know, we'll get some more or not necessarily backstory, but more cultural exposure to the Aiel. Because, like, viewers, you know, they've gotten a little bits and pieces of, like, their warrior culture, they're honorable, blah, blah, blah. But we haven't really seen it online that much. And that would make, like, Rand's visions, you know, where going back to where they're peaceful, all the more impactful at the very end to hear, like, the fact that, you know, the Aiel are going to now recognize him as he who comes with dawn. Because the only thing we've heard about that specifically, right, is when Aviendha told Perrin, like, you know, she's looking for he who comes to the dawn.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, that little bit of the prophecy, that's all we know. But we don't really know a whole lot about the Aiel, you know, aside from, like, you know, content drop here and there, and then seeing Aviendha fight the White Cloaks and, like, how, you know, over the top awesome they are.
Right.
It's true, because I was rewatching season 2, episode 5 with Kathy, my non-book reader, last week, and we got that gorgeous scene with Perrin and Aviendha sitting at the fire, and Aviendha, you know, says, and when we're discussing it afterwards, Kathy was like, there was just all these words.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Jito, you know, and she's like, yeah, like there was just all these words, and I didn't know what they were.
Yep.
And that was
the episode
and
for
that's
the book
her
readers
rewatch.
where we were like, oh, they're dropping all this stuff. And we knew what it was, but anybody else wouldn't.
And that it was really good, because it really hit me how much Aviendha says and how much of it was just words. So I think you're really right, Rob. We need Cole Roxhold. We need some feeling of, whoa, that was really wild. And now we get to know the Aiel a little bit.
Right.
Yeah.
And it makes that reveal all the more impactful at the very end, you know, like
exactly.
When they're like, what, you know, like we haven't always been, you know, awesome warriors kind of a thing.
Yeah. And what we've not talked about and what we haven't seen, only seen one thing of, is, and what about Moghedien?
Right. I'm gonna just pull
been
these
in the
up
shadows of every episode. She's literally in every shot, off in the shadow.
Yeah. Like there's been 20 Aiel in every episode. There's also been Moghedien.
And Moghedien. So
I'm really glad that we don't have any clue what she's up to. I mean, I don't want to know.
Yeah, it's fun.
It's like Lanfear they hid Lanfear really well in the season 2 promotional stuff.
Correct. And they've named Lord Gabriel.
Yeah.
But we haven't seen him yet in anything. And
there was an article that came out last night, a Screen Rant article. That was,
haven't seen it.
It was alluding to Moghedien working with Gabriel.
Oh, really?
But I had just saw it. That's why I was being kind of quiet. Like, I saw the mention of it, and I retweeted it, but I haven't, like, read more than just, like, the first couple of paragraphs yet. So.
Oh, I need to go read that.
There might be some meat in it. There might not. I can't say. But there was an article that came out. That's all I could say.
So let's jump back to these images real quick. There was something that I was going to say. It doesn't matter. Okay. This shot right here of Egwene and Rand, I put this here in the middle, but I don't think it happens early season. I think it happens after Ruidan, because Rand now has his jacket covering up his tattoos, I think.
Yeah, because I don't necessarily think that's in Tel'aran'rhiod. I think I think that it could be after Ruidan.
Oh, really? Even though Sharon Gillam literally said something about that in her.
I know. Well, you've said that now, so
Why
maybe
would they be lying side by side together?
Maybe she's the one feeding us false information, setting us down these rabbit holes.
Sharon.
Sharon.
You were the chosen one.
I still believe it's Tel'aran'rhiod.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It kind of just, I guess because they are both physically in the waste and they're both learning lots of stuff. Although, see, this is the fun thing about talking is your brain just starts thinking. Although maybe we're sort of seeing Rand enter Tel'aran'rhiod as well. And so we kind of get a bit of a connection that they are both in the same place when the dream stuff is happening. And I hope that we get to see that with Perrin. I hope that we also get the Perrin glimpsing Rand when he's in the wolf dream, and we understand that it's all the same place, even if it ends up getting called different things. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, Matt in the comments, Matt from the Dusty Wheel said, Perrin is notably absent from most of this stuff so far, and so hopefully we get more of him in the trailer. And I agree, but we've got to get Wolf Dream stuff, right?
I mean,
that doesn't happen.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the great way to pair exposition is you have the Aiel explain a point of view of the world of dreams from their perspective, and then you have some kind of dialogue between Perrin learning similar things from the Wolf Dream. So it's a great way to give expositions about the same topic from two different points of view to really kind of cement it for the audience. It's a very
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And this scene right here with the two of them next to each other could be them trying to go to sleep and test it out. Like,
yeah.
Or just like one of the comments said, just waking up. And imagine that moment where you just shared a dream experience and then you wake up and look at each other and you're like, did that just happen?
Exactly. What? Exactly. And they made such a point of naming Hopper, doing that whole thing and killing Hopper so dramatically that it doesn't make sense to not have Perrin fill out the whole wolf dream thing. Yeah. And I think it's great that we've not seen much Perrin yet, because
agreed,
he's going to have a really big part to play.
Yeah.
And because it's later in the season, it's like, again, for non-book readers, they don't have a clue what's coming, and it's going to just be so impactful.
So I remember,
are we getting a trailer this week?
Well, I sure hope so. I don't know. I wish I knew.
Do you think that Perrin's gonna find out what's going on when he's in the inns in the earlier shot, or maybe later, and then that's when?
No, I believe here during this whole sequence when they're at the inn, they're going to. He and Loyal, at least, I think, will overhear rumors about the two rivers.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's when, whenever the group does officially separate, I think that's when Loyal, Bane and Chiad, Perrin, and possibly Aviendha will head out to the two rivers. I was going to say, we were talking about learning more about the Aiel and their customs. Mm-hmm. And I think this is a brilliant change that they've made for this reason, bringing in Melindra as an outsider from Malkir, who was adopted into the Aiel. The reason why I think this is brilliant is we're going to learn more about Lan and the importance of Malkir. And we're also going to be able to learn from her. She'll be able to sort of explain things to people like Rand. Oh, the Aiel, this is what the Aiel mean when they say X, Y, or Z. It's a great way to have a character who already has been through this to help explain things to someone like Rand who isn't getting it. And I don't know that Aviendha will take that role. I think it's going to be Melindra in the show. What do you guys think? Maybe.
Yeah. Because Aviendha has already come across as being really confident. So I think her heading off with Perrin is better than us watching Aviendha do all her, the way her relationship with Rand starts out with her, stupid wetlander, blah, blah. Right. We don't have time for how gorgeously that plays out in the book. It's just, it would be too confusing, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's you. So you don't think Melindra is there to like give Lan some kind of, is it going to flesh out something about Lan as well? Or do you think it's going to be
my theory is first of all, this image right here, we all assumed this was Aviendha when the teaser first came out
as well.
You did that so well in your video.
But this maiden has a rope-like quality to her Cadden sword that matches exactly Melindra in these shots right here.
Okay.
And we know now that this is Melindra standing here, who we originally thought was Aviendha in this shot. So I actually think this is Melindra, and this could be a cold open. I don't know, but here's the thing. I think we don't know where Lan gets his second sword, first of all. My hope is that this is his official Malkyari King sword. What if Melindra, who's also of Malkyari descent, has been holding on to that sword, gets adopted into the Aiel clans, which she has a hard time because she's still holding on to this sword from her past, which, you know, Aiel don't touch swords. So this could be a point of helping kind of understand, oh, this maiden has to get rid of this sword in order to be completely honorable. And she finally tracked down the man who gets the sword, which is Lan, and she gives it to him. That's kind of my own headcanon. I don't know how they fit that in, especially because we see Lan with the sword in episode 2, and I don't know if they can do all that soon, but that's kind of my headcanon for the moment.
Yeah, that when he's training, that could just be another sword in general. But I do like that theory because that, like, it gives a reason why they would change her backstory to be Malkyari. And you can introduce, like, the Aiel's hatred of swords, which we haven't heard anything about yet, but in the visions, I'm sure that'll be a key thing. You know, in episode 4.
The trickiest part is Aviendha does need to have her Wise One arc. I saw this.
That's just being talked about. Yeah,
and Rand and Aviendha's relationship is good. I mean, it's a lot more fleshed out than Elaine and Rand.
Oh God!
I mean, even Aviendha and Elaine is more fleshed out than Elaine and Rand, and even I can say that. So
absolutely.
Why does Aviendha need to have her Wise One arc yet? Why can't that be the next season?
Yeah, and why can't she meet with the Wise Ones in the World of Dreams? I don't know. They could make her a Dreamwalker.
There's all kinds of ways to still bring that around. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if that isn't Melindra, for now. Yeah, if that isn't Melindra, if that is actually Ayula, I could still see there being a case where she starts out the season traveling with Perrin because she still has the toe to him. Along that pathway, they meet another Aiel that maybe his name starts with a G, or she's just called off and be like or the Wise Ones while they're training Egwene, they learn about Aviendha or some clue about her whereabouts is given to them. They find out about her. They call her back via the World of Dreams. She ends up having to run all the way back to the Waste from.
I like that.
So there are scenarios that exist. You know, that she starts out one way.
I like that. For this season, hashtag let Aviendha stab.
Yeah, or run Aviendha. I love the idea of her running from the 2 rivers to the Waste in like 3 days.
I would love that.
That would be awesome.
Well, the Ogier walked and walked and walked and walked, so Aviendha can just run.
It's that sequence from the 2 towers where Gimli and Aragorn and Legolas are just running all across Middle Earth.
They're saying the Ogier walked so that Aviendha could run.
It's very fantasy on
except
point.
For the one time when Loyal beat a horse. We can't forget that.
Just once.
Yeah. We need a cold open flashback. Okay. So I put all of these shots in episode 6. I don't actually think they're all happening in episode 6, but we do know that they're all Tanchico, right? We know for sure that these 4, this one, and this one, these are Tanchico. One of the big questions that fans have is this one maybe a flashback scene of Liandrin? That's my current headcanon. I love the idea that this is a Liandrin cold open flashback.
I like that.
But who knows? Like, it could be anything. This is the statue one. I don't know if you guys can see that very well. We know at some point Liandrin will be in Tanchico and that Moghedien will be around. But whether or not these all happen in episode 6, I'm doubtful. I think this scene with Min is the Panarch's palace. I would guess this happens in the finale or in episode 7. But what do you all think?
Yes, I think that we're going to see Tanchico both 6 and 7, and so which ones of those are in 6 and which are in 7 doesn't really matter.
Right.
Well, we just don't have enough to try and put them into order, but I think we're going to get more Rand in the waist in the earlier episodes, but still some, idea of other stuff, and then more Tanchico and Two Rivers in the later episodes, so.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking too. I'm not looking at the comments in chat, but are there any comments that stand out? They're like, oh no, that's this or whatever.
Well, like
this time Lauren is wrong. Yeah, see, there we go.
No way the Tanchico plotline starts this late in the season, which I agree. I think like some of this will be earlier.
Like they'll be arriving earlier. Right. Like this stuff could definitely be happening. I mean, I do think episode 4 is going to focus primarily on Rand and Moraine. Mm-hmm. I don't think we're going to get much else, but we might get little clips of them traveling or, Egwene in the dream testing things. I don't know. We might get a little bit of that, but I think the majority of this episode is focused on this. And then I think I like your idea, Koala, that maybe we end on a cliffhanger in the visions and then pick up where we left off in episode 5 and get them coming out. But who knows? And then, all the traveling. Rob?
I think we'll get some Tanchico in episode 5 and probably episode 3 also. Like, initially.
Yeah, I think.
Do you think Bail Doman's gonna be the one that takes them, or the Seafolk take them?
Or will we even see it? Will it be like skip ahead and they're already there?
I hope not, because I want more Bail Doman.
Me too.
You never know. But we do have to introduce the Seafolk, and so I would, because Rafe said
so that's possible. Yeah,
we have to.
So
we have to.
So this is another thing. I don't think we're only going to see Perrin in the Two Rivers in episode 7 either. I think we'll see him arriving in episodes 5 and 6. We'll maybe even see him forging the axe, doing little skirmishes with Trollocs out and about, talking to the White Cloaks. I still am hopeful that we'll get some sort of cold open with Pat and Fane in the White Cloak camp, maybe torturing a Fade. I really want to see that. Yeah, so I think there's some of that kind of stuff that's going to be happening. It's not just, I just think the Battle of the Two Rivers is probably episode 7, which is why I put this image here. Obviously, we've got to develop Perrin and Fail. So that's all going to have to happen during these episodes. Exactly. This could easily happen earlier. Do we think Perrin forges the axe in the same episode as the Battle of the Two Rivers? Do you think that happens earlier?
I don't think it's him forging the axe. No.
A lot of people have said that. I think it's him. Who else would it be?
No, it doesn't look like him. It looks like just
could
a generic.
It could be whoever the blacksmith is, whether that's Master Luhan has taken over after Layla's death and gives it to Perrin or whatever. But
I think in that shot, like he doesn't have the build that Perrin has.
Doesn't feel like Perrin.
I guess I just think it could be Perrin. It's supposed to be Perrin, but it's just an extra who actually knows what they're doing with a hammer. Close up, But I don't know.
It's the guy that you guys met in your trip.
It actually could be. I mean, that guy was a legit blacksmith.
Yeah. And if he loses the axe, like say the axe is there with him in the Bubble of Evil scene, and that axe is broken, if he keeps the axe he killed, Papa Bornhold with, he's going to need a new one. At first, I thought before we recognized Perrin was in the background of Matt's scene with the maiden kiss, I was like, oh, maybe he's forging the axe and then it comes alive and attacks him. But maybe he has to forge one to replace the one he loses from the, I could see it being one of the
I love
two,
that idea.
Yeah,
I didn't even think of that. He probably does still have the Bornhold axe, right? So, does he have it on the tower? He has the shield.
He has the shield. He doesn't
bring
the
shield.
Yeah.
I do love that idea, though. Another thing I love is one of my favorite scenes in book 3 is when Perrin, just to like lose steam or whatever, he goes to Forge. And he just kind of starts helping the blacksmith there. I just love that scene so much. I feel like that's going to be an important scene for Fail to witness in the Two Rivers.
Yeah.
So that'll probably happen there. Yeah. But I also love your idea that maybe he's off blowing off steam and forging and then his tools attack, and that could be
Well, this could be the shot like of the other blacksmith, and then Perrin joins him if they do that.
Mm-hmm. That could be the case. Yeah.
Oh, like they're making it together.
That's what I had thought.
Yeah.
I mean, this has to be a foreshadowing of an event way later that we won't talk about, but I feel like that there's a reason this shot is a very slow motion and very intentional, you know, like.
Where is that thing right there?
Don't look behind him. Don't look. Book 5, Rob. Book 5.
Okay, so Golden Eyes, I'm guessing this is the Battle of the Two Rivers, but who knows? And I put this shot of Min at end because I think this could, the whole like Tanchico, Panarch's Palace, Moghedien versus Nynaeve, I'm hopeful we get that. That's all probably going to be part of the climax, I would assume. But then there's these Alcar Dal. This is Couladin. I mean, he's got the dragon tattoos.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This has got to be the Golden Bowl. I realized after this promo image came out that the clouds in the background match this scene of Lan. So I believe Lan and Moiraine are facing Lanfear here. And I think this is a repeat of the flash from her vision where she gets her throat slit, as we've already talked about right here. I even think Lanfear's wearing the same dress here as she has on here. So I believe.
How come the sky's clear behind Lanfear, cloudy behind Moiraine, and a few scattered clouds behind Lan?
Yeah, because the sun's directly behind her here, pointed straight up, and the clouds are off in the distance behind them in the other direction. That's my opinion. I don't know. I could be off, but the color grading does match to me very closely.
Is that where we're gonna get the doorway?
This is the biggest question there's no sign of a doorway here.
There's no doorways yet.
I don't know that there's any sign of snakes and foxes, redstone door frames.
But there was like
I don't think
clear, like in when they exited the ways of Moiraine throwing her through a doorway.
Yeah, right? I think they're going to totally hide the doorway from us. I don't think they are going to show that they're deliberately going to not show us that, because it's way more fun to watch us debate over whether or not it's going to happen.
Right. This is a controversial theory, but I think Moiraine is going to beat Lanfear here and continue to be in the show. I mean, there's a possibility of that. This is why she saw her futures. She goes and gets a Sangreal. This to me feels a little bit like a repeat of the ending of season 1, where Rand has the glowing orb in his hand, or the glowing Angreal in his hand, and he blasts Ishamael with the power. I think something similar could happen to Lanfear in this moment, and Moiraine could actually defeat her. I would much rather have the doorway stuff and have Moiraine out of the picture for a little while, but
that's interesting. I've not heard anyone say that. I don't agree, but I think it's really interesting.
Oh, what if there is a doorway? What if she gets blown through the doorway, the one that's in Ruidan rather than the other one, right? And therefore, and then the last shot of the season is like Lanfear and Moiraine in Sindal, right? And like a glimpse of the fin,
that's a great teaser.
There was in Amber the Road to Tarvalon. She did an interview with Sharon, and she said there was an out of this world single scene character that Rafe threw at her at at the end of the season. So
I'm changing this to full spoilers because we want to be a little careful.
We do want to be careful.
So I just realized too. Remember at the end of book 4. Rand fights Asmodean starting at Alcar Dal, but he chases him to Ruidan where they have their final battle. True. And that's when they destroy Ruidan. This could be what happens here. Moiraine and Lanfear could rush off to Ruidan to end what they start at Alcar Dal.
Yeah.
The question here is, will anyone witness? If there is a door frame, will anyone witness it? Could Rand... I mean, another thing we have no sign of is Asmodean.
Yep.
There are some other leaks related to the Chodan Ball that say that Samael will play some role in the Aiel Waste, though we don't know how heavily that will factor in. So is Asmodean going to be fighting Rand at the same time that Moiraine is fighting Lanfear? I don't know.
Oh, interesting. Asmodean fighting Rand. Okay, interesting.
Well, they fight over the access keys in the book. And they destroy Ruidan, the fog goes away, and then Rand wins, and then that's when Lanfear ties up Asmodean and makes him Rand's puppet or whatever.
Interesting.
Oh, you guys, this is so fun.
So much.
I'm sure we're so wrong with so much of this, but real quick, these shots are just the set from what I assume is Cold Rock's Hold.
Yeah.
So where do we think these will factor in? I think Cold Rock's Hold is probably episode 5, 6-ish.
I think you're right. I think that we'll get the Isle culture more fleshed out through Cold Rock's Hold.
I think that set behind Matt with like the flickering little thing, like when you did your video and then you showed like a couple other previous interviews from the last season, I think, and like the same little lamp was in the background. At first I was like, oh, that's just kind of like the generic set that they use, and then they put the little lamp back there, so it might not even be anywhere, like it might just be their generic set pieces where they say like, okay, we're going to interview this guy and let's make it look in world, right? And so they piece together something.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say. I do think this is a Cold Rock's Hold interior set.
I think so.
That they've lit because I'm crazy. I've compared all these. What are they called? Sconces or
the wall hangings,
braziers or whatever. The fire thing. These things match don't match anywhere else in the show. There are these fire things, torch type things in the Two Rivers, but they don't match. So I don't know.
I've just seen the same little thing in the background of other interviews, and so I think it's probably just like a generic set dressing,
which is what I have here. These same shots, it's definitely the same.
Okay, that's.
And I'm pretty sure they shot all these at the same time. These were all promotional things. The season 3 wrap, the little fun little thing with Matt. Interestingly, Perrin's on a different set, but I think it is part of the Cold Rock's Hold set as well. It's just part of the exterior set. But anyway, so there was something else. Oh, okay. So, we're probably wrong about half of this or more, but this has been fun. I hope you guys have had a good time. I've sure enjoyed this. Yeah. It's so fun to speculate and theorize and piece all these little things together.
I love being wrong with theories. I love it.
Yeah.
I really do.
I was going to tell you guys, I got to duck out. So if you want to keep going, go for it.
Well, I was going to say really quick, do we want to attempt to revisit the episode titles a little bit before we go?
Sure.
Rob, if you need to go, I understand.
I gotta go. Yeah.
Okay. Hey, thanks for jumping on. Talk to you again soon.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Bye, Rob. Bye, Rob.
Everybody go and follow Rob on all the things.
Tel'aran'rhiod. I always say Tel'aran'rhiod. I don't know. They should make a podcast called that.
They should.
Okay,
oh, I can take off the full book spoilers. Sorry, anybody who's... Okay, well, let's do this quick. So, has this changed any of your minds? Do we still think A Question of Crimson could be episode 2? I do. I think that fits really well.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, I'll put that here. Question of Crimson. Okay. So, then we've got... so, are we convinced that The Road to the Spear is episode 4? I am, but...
I am.
Okay.
Yep, I think that makes so much sense.
Okay. One of the kind of debates is He Who Comes to the Dawn. Is that directly after or is it later? I personally think this is... I've
slotted it to 8.
Yeah, that me too. But
I think 8 makes sense as well. Yeah.
Yeah. And I wonder if Tel'aran'rhiod might be 5.
Ooh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I was on 5 or 3 for Tel'aran'rhiod as well. I think that's where I was narrowed down to.
Did I spell that right? Yeah, I think I got it actually. Okay, so what that leaves us with Seeds of Shadow.
I think that's got to be 3.
And to raise
like you plant seeds early.
3. I love that idea.
Like you wouldn't say the shadow in the night before you'd say the seeds of the shadow,
Yeah, good call.
Nice.
What's the other one? The Shadow in the Night?
The Shadow in the Night.
I guess that episode 6 could fit.
And that's where we're heading to Tanchico.
Oh,
Tanchico, and we've got...
Was it the Shadow?
Yeah.
So the only ones I'm a little iffy on is A Question of Crimson and Seeds of Shadow. I could see those swapping. You saying Seeds of Shadow does feel very much like a early episode. So I could see those two titles switching, but I do like Crimson being in the title where Elida's introduced.
Yeah, I think that's a real Red Aja calling. So
I actually like Tel'aran'rhiod as 5. I think it fits really well into all the visions and stuff. And this idea, like we talked about, if there's a cliffhanger mid-vision where Rand and Moiraine are still experiencing things, we could also have an introduction of Tel'aran'rhiod where you get that all three of them in different worlds thing that was mentioned.
Yeah.
I do like this being episode 6 because, Moghedien. I mean, we're going to learn about Moghedien's plans around this point, or it's all going to start coming together.
Yeah.
So maybe this
because,
Tanchico does
book
happen.
Readers will have forgotten about Moghedien. So it's going to be, really interesting because
I just realized
it's so obvious to us, but a lot of non-book readers, it's like they can only process and hold so much information.
Right.
So it's just going to make her slipping through the shadows just perfect.
Love it. Seeds of Shadow, Black Aja reference? Yeah, for sure. It definitely could be. Which again is why these two could be switched.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they could easily be switched.
I'm actually more and more convinced that this shot of Rand and Lan is happening outside of Tar Valon, and that Egwene and Moiraine and Elaine haven't left Tar Valon yet. I think that's going to happen end of 2 or around 3 somewhere, where we get everyone kind of separating and going their separate ways.
Mm-hmm.
Seeds of Shadow could also be related to the ways, like Loyal and Perrin going through the ways on their way to the 2 rivers.
Yeah, because that's definitely how they'll go, isn't it? We didn't really talk about that, but we'd all agree they'll just do the ways. Yeah.
I think at least to the 2 rivers, because that would at least, there's no reason to not just reuse that. I mean, Tar Valon's pretty far from 2 rivers.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Well, a little birdie has told me that there's something big from book 4 that is happening differently, but is happening in the show. And I'm not going to say too much, but it's related to the little girl in the Stone of Tyr. Only it doesn't happen in the Stone of Tyr.
Oh, you're making but you're making my heart pound a little bit here.
That's a scene that I'm so glad that if the little birdie that told me is accurate, I don't know, but my hope is that happens because that's such an important element of Rand's story. And one of the things we know about season 3 is this idea that Rand is going to be dealing with his madness, and that Egwene and Moiraine are going to be concerned about it to a certain degree. And to me, that's the kind of scene that has to happen to help with that, right? It's going to be tough to watch, but
is he going to actually start hearing Luz Theron?
I mean, we know that, what's his name?
Alexander Kareem.
Alexander Kareem, thank you. We know he did voice work.
Yeah. And so that's what we think?
I think so.
It's on the table. He does hear whispers at the moment, but they're mostly unintelligible. Like they're like, kill the power. They're very mumbled whispers now. But I think that, like you're saying, I think those could turn into specifically his voice. Kill the power, more verbally.
If an idea, the idea of a Forsaken who hasn't revealed themselves as a Forsaken, talking to Rand and the voice in his head saying "kill him immediately." Good stuff.
Right, that's what and so what I'm wondering is whether the thing that you're alluding to might be one of those tipping points that really starts that voice becoming, becoming Luz Theron.
Yeah, whether that happens or not, I do. Yeah, I wonder if they're going to even address Calendor and the way that its flaw affects the insanity. Because that's something that's important to me, but because it almost like magnifies his problems when he uses Calendor, right? So
it amps it up a lot when he uses it in those early scenes, and it's like it almost like progresses his madness to the point of like way faster than it should have been. Like, I mean, if you look at like even Logain in the books, like he's relatively sane. He's not sane, but he's relatively sane, and he's been channeling for a really long time, probably a little bit at a time. So I think that power level probably changes how fast you accumulate it potentially, but also just using Calendor itself magnified it like probably tenfold or whatever the logarithmic function is for it. Because it's definitely something I see a season 4 or 5 item being brought in, but like if they put that part in, it'd be interesting to see.
I love this. It looks like Alyssa is here with us in some ways.
Yeah. She dropped in. Yeah.
I love this idea that maybe it's not a bubble of evil. Maybe it's all in Rand's head. What if the reflections attacking him are just insanity?
Or he thinks it's insanity until he gets the confirmation from Matt that something was happening to him. But then Matt thinks it was him doing it because it happened to him. You know,
which also does kind of happen in the books, doesn't it?
It does. Yeah,
and Perrin are like, we need to go talk to Rand, and then
they're so mad at him.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, guys, we could talk forever. This has been so much fun. Any final words or final theories or ideas? Kevin, let's start with you. What are you most excited about? I'll leave you with that. For season 3.
I'm most excited to see how everyone is going to still be in denial that it isn't Elaine in that costume. I think that's going to be fun. I think the doubling down is going to be great. Like, I think Matt doubling down with the guy next to Loyal has been one of my favorite things to learn about recently. I think that'll be a lot of fun. And like I said, I love being wrong with my theories. Being right is pretty cool, but being completely off is just as fun in my book. So
completely agree. It's the speculation is so much of the fun. This is why the Wheel of Time lasts for me way beyond the books being over. Yeah, because the theorizing online and all that, just it's a joy for me. And the fact that we get to do it again decades later is so exciting to me. I mean, I just love it. Koala, what about you? What are you most excited about to see in
the whole glass columns thing? That's just like, I'm just living for that. Absolutely. I am wondering what Gawain and Galad will do in the season, you know, like besides have the fight with Matt that we're dying for. After that, it's kind of interesting to think.
Will they still play a role? Yeah.
What are they going to do? Because, you know, the fact that they've named them, thrown them at us early, just makes me go, okay, so, yeah, like, is Gawain going to tag along with one of the groups? Is Galad, is his, you know, arc going to come forward quicker?
Well, that reminds me, I mean, we didn't really talk about the coup. I mean, we talked about that it's going to happen later in the season probably and not episode 1.
Yeah.
But it does seem that Galad and Gawain would be involved with that to some degree, right? Interesting. There's a whole conversation to be had about whether or not Swan will survive. I go back and forth about it. Of course I want Swan to survive. I want it to follow the books. But there have been some ideas that she might not be in the show much. And so you just don't know. There's a lot. Yeah, it's a coin flip. I love the Rapunzels. Galad and Gawain's main jobs are to be hot.
Oh, no.
I wish that was my job. Just kidding. Cool. Well, that reminds me. I can't believe this. I have analyzed these shots so deeply. And as you know, I've talked about all these little details. I never noticed until I posted my Matt Unraveled teaser video yesterday. Someone in the comments was like, there are quarterstaffs on the rack right next to Galad in the teaser.
Yeah.
Of course there are.
I never noticed that. How did I miss that? It's ridiculous.
Was that me?
They're just sitting right there. Actually? I think it might have been you. Yeah.
It might have been me that commented that, actually.
I feel so stupid for not noticing that. And I was theorizing. No. I'm like, look at this spear back here that the guard is holding. Yeah.
Many still say it's just a fence.
The streets are saying it's a fence, but you know, fencing. What is fencing? But just little tiny swords that are very thin.
But people playing with sticks, yeah.
So what do we? Quarter staff or quarter staint? No, you can't. That doesn't work. Oh, all right. Well, hey, thank you all for showing up in chat. I hope that this was fun for all of you. Season 3 is just around the corner. I cannot wait. I hope that I can. Look, I haven't even finished unraveling season 2. I don't think that's happening at this point.
No, that's all right.
As much as I want to, but there is a big, fun secret project coming out that I'm really excited about. So if you aren't subscribed, you're probably not watching right now. But if you aren't subscribed, please remember to subscribe and turn on notifications so that you can see what's coming, because it's going to be awesome. That's all I can say. And that's that's all we got. Let's. I don't have a outro like Smash to Black, so I'll just say, see y'all later.
We can just go, time. Well.